Well, welcome to week 7 of Intentional Relationships. This week we're going to be talking about boundaries, which is something that we deal with for a lifetime. And it's something some people have never really thought about. I'll tell you a story about when I was early on in my marriage. I didn't have a lot of money. I was a new Christian. I was going to church every Sunday, and I met a couple there that was really in need of some food, they said. So being a good Christian, I said, well, I'd be happy to help you with a little bit. I don't have a lot of money, but I could take you grocery shopping. So after church, we went to the grocery store, and I followed them around as they filled their basket. And I thought, oh, that's good, that's enough. And then they kept going, and they kept going. And some of the food was pretty expensive. And I sat there feeling more and more taken advantage of and frustrated and didn't know what to say or what to do. I didn't want to seem rude. And anyway, we ended up checking out. It was like $250. This was eons ago. It was a lot of money that I really couldn't afford at that time. And I remember feeling so bad. I learned later that they do this. They went from church to church and would take advantage of people like me. What I experienced was a crossing of boundaries. I didn't realize I could say no to them at a certain point. I had said yes earlier, but I can say no if I want. And I allowed them to cross my boundaries and take advantage of me, and that didn't feel good. That's what happens when we have our boundaries crossed. And really, all a boundary is, it's a way that you decide you want to be treated. A boundary is understanding where your responsibilities start and end, and somebody else's start and end. And you don't owe anybody anything if it's their responsibility to take it, to do something, maybe their job or pay their bills or whatever it is. You might do something out of grace, but you are not compelled or obligated to do something. You decide where your boundaries are in your life.
We all need boundaries because often I think, especially, because I do a lot of singles ministry, I hear more and more parents, the kids have moved back in for like the 10th time. And they move back in, but they don't pay bills. And the parent, because they love being a parent and they love to take care of their kids, they let them move back in. Or you work late because you're the single person, so you can work late while everybody else goes home. But yet, you have family and responsibilities too, but you don't set that boundary because you're a people pleaser and you want people to value and love you. So you let them walk all over you and take advantage of you. And I mentioned last week, I talked about hurricane relief and how, in any natural disaster, anything that's happened with a tornado, there's been an earthquake, there's been a fire, we want to help people and we want to help as many people as possible, but there has to be organization. There has to be a process. Even like with Samaritan's Purse and Baptists on Mission, these national organizations, they can't just help every single person. We cannot help every single person that comes to us and or needs a friend or needs you to help move them. I feel bad for guys and girls that own trucks because they get asked a lot to move people, right? Yep. And gotta set that boundary. But even more recent in my own life, my mom has, like all of us, we're independent, and as she grew in the Lord, she has become interdependent. But now in her older age, in her 80s, I've noticed that she's becoming dependent on me. And I'm just not used to this. I'm not used to my mother really needing anybody. And I knew it was coming. All of us know we've taken care of a parent. I take care of my my stepfather, my grandmother, I know. But when it's your parent that you're very close to, and I've just started noticing some anxiety. She's not as sure about things, and she's questioning. She has to help me, ask me to help her do a lot more things, and I keep pushing her back towards interdependence. I want her to continue to figure it out on her own until she can't figure it out. And so I've had to set those boundaries where she said, "I need this done right now," and I go, "Well, do I have to do it right now? Can it wait? I'm on the phone. I'm with a client." Does it have to be done? Because I want to please my mama. I mean, we want to honor our parents, right? Yeah. And you, of course, took care of your dad until he's passed away. And your mom now is also older and whatever. And so we want to honor our parents. We do. But at the same time, we have to set those boundaries. Mm-hmm. How hard is that, even in your own parents?
Well, it's hard with my parents. I have sisters, so a lot of times it's just a lot of discussions. And that's kind of where boundaries come up in our lives. We have some sort of unforeseen event, and then we begin to realize, oh my gosh, I can't do everything that this maybe situation would naturally require of me. So we begin to have to talk about it, maybe with our spouse or our friends or our siblings, and decide what we can do. And that's really brings up the point about boundaries, is usually because they come maybe out of left field, but at some point, maybe they're recurring, like the same kinds of things happen over and over again. Someone needs help, and I realize I can't do this every day. I can do it one day. Or it could be something completely different, like maybe there's a person that road rages whenever you're in the, you ever have that person, they're driving and they're yelling at that person next to them? Maybe you decide, I can't ride with this person anymore. You might even need to tell them, I'm so sorry, I would normally love to ride with you, but I get so stressed out by your driving. You're just creating a boundary saying, I can't be in this situation. Yeah. So most boundaries require some sort of planning. Yeah. And the thing about planning a boundary is you're kind of, you're putting yourself in a position where you're saying, I'm going to enforce this boundary. So if something happens, this is what I'm going to do. And when that happens, you kind of have to give it up to the Lord and trust God, because you never know how the other person might respond to you because of your new boundary. You always want to do it prayerfully. You always want to consult with, prayerfully to God, but consult others as well. Ask people with wisdom, and then put these boundaries into place and trust God. Sometimes people push back against boundaries. If there's someone that you've been taking care of and maybe helping pay their bills, they may at some point say, expect you to do that. And if you say, I'm sorry, I can't do it anymore, maybe they don't want you in their life anymore, or maybe temporarily they get angry at you. You just have to realize this is the right thing for me to do, and I'm going to do it. And then you trust God for the outcome. Yeah.
Being in ministry for all these years, you have to build teams. You have to start ministries, work at churches, and you're always, talking to people. And I always say, when you're looking for your volunteers, when you're looking for your leaders, I think it's great when someone comes to me and says, listen, Kris, I want to help you with your ministry. I want to volunteer, but I don't want to be on a list. If I'm there, I'll stack chairs. Yeah. If I'm there, I'll help clean up the kitchen. But because I'm already committed elsewhere, I have to put this boundary in place so that I'm more effective. That to me is a healthy person in my life that I'm looking for in ministry, is someone that knows they're limited, that they have, things happen. See, when you don't set boundaries in your life, here's the thing, you don't set boundaries in your life, then everything gets chaotic and crazy. Then all of a sudden you can't follow through with your commitments because every person's calling you, they need you here, they need you here, they need you there, and all this stuff. And before you know it, the things you've committed to don't happen. And then everything is a mess. So I love it when people have said, hey, I can't do this, I'm sorry, and I'm disappointed because I need them to help. But I'm also appreciative that they know their limits. Just like with resting, Dan. Yeah. One of my favorite things about Jesus is in Luke 5:16, he set boundaries. He rested when he needed to rest. Yeah. He prayed when he needed to pray. And I think often we're not cueing in even to our bodies what we need so that we can be effective in ministry, so that we can also be effective in a dating relationship.
That's right. Dating relationships.
Tell me about some boundaries in those.
We are talking about relationships.
Do we need them at all in dating?
This is a big area where I think it can become very confusing, because when we're in a dating relationship, often we have emotions and endorphins and all kinds of things going on that affect how we think about things. I remember one of the first crises I had to face as a singles pastor was this couple, formerly dating couple, came to me, and she was angry that he had not gotten a car loan yet for her car loan that she had co-signed for. Do you think maybe there were some boundary issues there about responsibilities? Yes. Because in the dating relationship, you begin to think, oh, this is going to last forever. And so you make decisions maybe like you would if you were a married couple, but you're not. And so the relationship kind of dictates the boundaries that you should have. If you want a healthy relationship and you want friendships, lots of friendships, then when you're dating, you don't cut everybody else out of your life and spend all your time with this one person. You have to say, I can spend this amount of time with this new exciting relationship, but my other relationships are also important. So I'm going to make more time for this, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of my other relationships. Mm-hmm. When it comes to physical boundaries, you have to put those in place as well and say, I want to be pure. I want to honor God in this relationship. So I'm not going to put myself in a place where I will fall. And that requires thinking and planning ahead. I don't want to be alone with you on the couch watching movies and drinking, So there's things in our lives that when it comes to dating that we have to think about and put into place if we want to begin to build a really good relationship with the other person. And also when somebody, like you said, when somebody tells me they have a boundary and I see it as a healthy boundary, I just have more respect for them. Yeah. So you will find that if you have healthy boundaries and you state them in a very loving way, you'll find that people will respect you because of it.
And often we also find out people who's maybe don't have the same respect for your boundary, or it's not a problem for them. They might try to push that on you, that you should break your boundary. I know recently we talked about a situation where this person was wanting to move in and live together before they got married as Christians, and they were fearful of losing them, so they let that boundary cross. And although they weren't having sex, everybody else thought they were having sex because they were in a house together, living together. And so your witness was ruined, but his fear of losing her was so great because he had insecurities, wanted to be loved, wanted to feel special, that he literally compromised and let the situation happen. And then it still ended. And so he still lost the girl. And so often I see this everywhere. Like, to me, I'm going to set my boundaries. And if I have a guy in my life that tries to push me sexually, you don't have to go to church, or why do you have to be in that Bible study, or why do you this, then I'm going to go, well, maybe he's not the right one at all, right? Yeah. And we're going to talk about that later as well. Yeah. Like, that's why we get to know somebody before you date them.
That's true.
Because you may find out your boundaries and theirs are not lining up.
That's right.
And so as a friend, you could stay a friend
yes.
to some degree until the friendship causes problems as well. So
yeah, you will never find a shortage of people that know how you should live your life. There are plenty of people, whether it's in dating relationships, family relationships especially, that think they know better than you know. You really have to be in touch with what you are called to do, what God is calling you to do, and then trust Him for the outcome. There's a great story in Mark chapter 1 where Jesus has been, like He does, He's healing people all night long. People are coming to this house. He's casting out demons. He's, giving people sight. He's doing all kinds of incredible ministry. And so much so that late at night they have to turn people away. They go to sleep. Well, early the next morning it says he went up and he did, right? He went off to pray, spend some time alone. And the disciples wake up after, they finally find him. They go, Jesus, there's a whole line of people at the door waiting for your ministry again. There's people that probably needed to be healed, that needed to see, whatever the issues were. And Jesus said, we have to go to the next town because that's what I've been called to do, to spread the news of the kingdom. So Jesus knew what his priorities were, and even though other people thought what he should be doing, he knew what he was supposed to be doing. Yeah. And so really in boundaries in our own lives are us understanding what God has called us to do, what God has called us to do in relationships, and then living those out and trusting God for the results, even sometimes if that means losing a relationship.
And allowing time in your day and time in your life for new people to come into your life, as other people may be leaving your life. But if people need you, and you need to be able to have enough flexibility during your day to be able to help some people. But if you're overcommitted and you don't have boundaries anywhere, then you're just going to get worn out, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well, we hope you enjoyed this week. And this is a great topic. It's something that we all have to work on. It never ends. But you can get better at it and you can see things ahead as you do. So share with your group maybe some of your stories of having to set up boundaries, or maybe some of your struggles with it, and get to know each other a little more. And we will see you next week.